We're good. Yeah, we gotta get Mike up. Don't ask no questions because I'm not answering them.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me.
Oh, you mic'd
What's up,
up?
fancy?
Oh, what's up, princess? Oh, that is assault.
Chesticles.
You dirtbag.
I know.
Touching on me. I'm gonna do the presentation like this if that's okay.
Back to back.
No, what's up, guys? I'm Rico.
I'm Dan.
You know, and we are two dudes. So our style of selling is way different than theirs. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not for the lazy. If you're lazy, it's probably not gonna pertain to you. You're not gonna wanna do it. It's a pain. But our lovely student right there does it. Wave, Lisa. She was almost our student of the month, but she got beat up by a couple $100.
Yep.
Yeah, sell a little bit more. It is what it is. So we do private label drop shipping, a little bit of wholesaling here and there, but mainly private label drop shipping just because the margins are higher. And I don't like waking up and selling for 5%. I won't do it. I refuse. Just not me. But it requires a lot of extra work. You have to do your product research, the same as if you was like FBA, or if you were going to be getting into wholesaling, or even for the people who do manual drop shipping on eBay. You know, you have to know what you're getting into. You have to know what niche you want to sell in, because ultimately you're going to convert to FBA, right? That's the goal. You don't want to just drop ship forever because it's tiresome. There's too many moving parts. And if you're inefficient, the whole system collapses. And we've seen it happen. We've seen guys come into the space, they're like, oh, I'm going to private label drop ship and make tons and tons of money. And they do. They make a ton of money. You know, they'll do 20, 30K in sales with like a 35% margin, but they can't keep it going because they're really lazy. They want to wake up, set it and forget it, and their entire store plummets. So imagine you go from making like 10K to nothing overnight.
Why? Metrics. So these guys talked a little bit about metrics on Amazon. We specifically deal with Amazon. We've dealt with eBay, Shopify before. We didn't. It's not that we didn't have any luck with it. We kind of enjoyed it, but it was just.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I was killing on Shopify.
He loved it.
I'm not doing. I'm lying.
Not horrible platforms, but we felt that instead of us having to drive traffic to us, and eBay's tend to felt like it was dwindling, we went to Amazon because Amazon has an unbelievable amount of people shopping on there. There's millions and millions a day. Yeah. The theme that we go with private label drop shipping essentially means that you're creating a niche. We talk a lot about niche brand management. It's huge. You want to be able to create a virtual store. It's being able to drive that kind of like brick and mortar experience without having the customer actually interface with you or interact with you in any way. The customer needs to be able to trust you before they make a purchase, right? You're not just going to go somewhere and be like Dan's General Store. I'm going to buy, you know, this magic wand or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, you know, Harry Potter's World of Wizardry, I'm going to buy the same wand there, but I'm going to trust it because the brand makes more sense, right? So, I mean, the reason all of that is so important, and it's going to be a little bit different on Amazon. I don't know how familiar you guys are with selling on Amazon, if anybody is actually selling on Amazon today, but they have tons and tons and tons of little metrics. If you mess up on one of those metrics, you know, they'll give you a little bit of leeway, but if you keep consistently messing up on those metrics, especially with like A to Z claims, where you're not fulfilling your promises to the customer, there's going to be major issues and you're probably going to get shut down. Getting unsuspended on Amazon is very expensive and it's very, very time consuming. Yeah. So with our methods, more so than you know, some of the other methods that you would use on Amazon, it requires a lot of manual intervention, it requires a lot of effort and interacting with the customers, interacting with your suppliers, and it's something that, you know, software just simply won't suffice.
Yeah. So unfortunately, guys, you do have to become a master of product research. So we use certain tools like AMZ Scout Pro, which we absolutely love. Yeah. That's the only product research software that I use now. I used to use Jungle Scout way back then, but there's a bunch of niceties and not necessities. Yeah. You know, as a software engineer, because that's what I do on my day job. Like, I still have my day job.
So do I.
You know, he's a network engineer. The only reason we haven't left is because, like, why give up $100,000 jobs? Like, so we're in a very unique position, you know, outside of those guys. So they get to hang out all day and they get to do things like this and they get to high five and they get to be professional dropshippers 24 hours a day. We don't. You know, we have a lot of other obligations, so we have to be efficient. Like, there's no room for error. So my job is to make sure that we make money. His job is to make sure that we keep it. Man, no one's going to prison.
He doesn't like paying his taxes. And that's,
no,
right
no,
here,
that's a
make
lie.
sure that you pay your taxes.
I pay my taxes because he says I have to.
Yeah.
If he didn't tell me that.
Actually, the accountant says that we have to pay our taxes, and that's how we pay our taxes.
Whatever, I don't care who says it. I just have to pay them.
Pay your taxes.
But so I use AMZ Scout Pro. And you guys don't have to use that. You guys can use Jungle Scout, whatever you want. Viral Launch, Helium 10, doesn't matter. You guys just have to be able to find good products and good niches. So you guys want to have evergreen products. So with their methods like retail arbitrage, it doesn't necessarily matter. You guys can take 10,000 products, throw them up, get them from Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart or whatever, and not care. You guys will make money, you'll be fine. With us, we don't have to use like cashback credit cards. Even though we do, you don't have to use, gift cards, you don't have to do any of that because the margins are generally much, much higher. But you need to make sure that you have sustainability. By sustainability, I mean you need to have products that are gonna sell all year round. Doesn't matter, whether it's gonna snow like in a couple hours and we're all gonna get snowed in here, whether it's raining, December, September, does not matter. You guys need to be able to build a brand based on that. So when you convert over, they continue to sell without a lot of intervention. Most people want the trendy products. You guys look on Google, you won't use a tool, and we know this for a fact because we have a ton of people come to us, like, yeah, I looked on Google Trends, man, this is good.
Yeah. Audit my listings and why isn't it selling? Yeah.
I'm like, well, number one, you're a tool, and you didn't do it right. But
keywords are trash. Your description doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, be easy, baby, be easy.
No, but there's different. When you go to list on Amazon, and I don't know if many people here know it. There's actually guidelines Amazon puts out that says this is what you need to do in order for us to market you best. There's an algorithm that Amazon uses to best market listers. So let's say, for instance, there's the only differentiator between me and you being price, right? If my listing has the correct amount of words to market my listing better than you, Amazon's going to market me better only simply by the fact that that's the least common denominator. There's an entire list. And it also really depends on what you're listing. So if you have something that's like battery operated, if you have something like beauty products, stuff like that, do you have all the correct warning labels, stuff like that? If you're missing any piece of that information, the algorithm will use that as a ranking determinator, and that could be the reason why you're not ranking higher or not selling.
Or you just got trash products.
Or you have trash products.
Probably trash products. And all that good jazz. But man, you took me off my train of thought.
Sorry.
What was I at, man?
Steal your thunder.
I don't care about...
Talking about people coming to you and their listings sucking.
That's your listings.
Yeah, it is my listings.
That's why you don't get to list nothing. But yeah, so you need to make sure that you have your evergreen products. You need to make sure your listings are good. You need to make sure that when you guys are building your brand, because that's what it is. It's private label for a reason. It's not retail arbitrage for a reason. You have to make sure that you guys are getting in a niche that's going to sell something that you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate, you're not going to do effective product research. You're not going to care. All right, you're just not. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm just going to put these products up, hope for the best. Ultimately, you want to trademark, okay? That's what we did. We have a whole process to get this done. It takes a while. It takes like a year in most cases. But you want to get trademarked. Why is getting trademarked important? Because it gives you registered brand status. Hey, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
See what happens when you interrupt his flow?
No, but you get so you can get registered brand status. So what that allows is for you to have a storefront. Okay, so some of you guys have seen Amazon storefronts. Like Zal Nutrition is a very good example. It's basically a website within Amazon. Gives you clout, and nobody can jump on your listings. So you don't have to worry about somebody stealing a buy box or whatever. You do have to worry about people buying up your products and then trying to sell them, but that's besides the point. Okay, besides the point there. You want to be official. Having that storefront means hundreds of thousands of dollars when you sell that store, because people want Amazon storefronts. So you work hard for about a year or two, build your brand up. Somebody comes to you and says, hey, yo, I like your store, baby. It's looking great. It's looking dope. I give you $200,000. This person said $250,000. I'll give you $250,000 then. That is the goal. Okay, you guys want to build a brand that's recognizable and something that you can sell. Okay, you don't want to just be a drop shipper forever. You can be, but ultimately, that's not the most sustainable way to make money. All right, it's good for a little bit. It's good to make a big influx of capital, but ultimately you have to be more. Okay, we're not just drop shippers. You know, Paul's not just a drop shipper. Tyler's not just a drop shipper. Neither is Noah. We're all professional e-commerce peoples, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, what's the correct term?
Entrepreneur? That's not fancy enough for you, right?
No, it ain't fancy. Whatever. Entrepreneurs. I can barely say that. Well, I'm originally from Mississippi, so there's a lot of stuff I can't pronounce right. So don't count that against me. But ultimately, that's what you guys need to get to, okay? It doesn't matter if you have a day job. Don't let these like 16-year-old YouTubers tell you that you're not a real entrepreneur. Because guess what? Most of their parents are doctors. And I can tell you firsthand, Jet Set Fly's daddy is a doctor. Yeah, my man makes around $400,000 a year. Want to know how I know? Because he invited me into his inner circle when I was doing Shopify. I sold on Shopify for years. Is it profitable? Yes. Why don't we do it anymore? Because it's ridiculously difficult. You're constantly cycling ads, you're doing all this crazy stuff. Your margins are trash, but you're staying up all night trying to make sure your store's running right. Scratch it, that's what Amazon's for. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you don't have to do anything. You make money turnkey. It's the easiest thing. But with private label dropshipping, you have to put that work in. You know, you'll have to go, in some cases, you'll have to find a registered agent like we have. So we have virtual assistants and a registered agent. And Eric, I can't pronounce his Chinese name. It's very, Zhao.
I have no idea. I can't say it.
I should probably look it up.
It's just Eric.
We just call him Eric. It's like, yeah, like I can't pronounce it, all right? But Eric makes sure our flow is tight. So our virtual assistants get all of our orders, they put them into a spreadsheet at the end of the day, they go to Eric and say, hey, here's all the orders, you are good to go. We pay them through PayPal, done and done. I mean, we still do, you know, place some orders through like Alibaba. You could do DHgate if you absolutely had to. We don't recommend it unless you know what in the world you're doing. All right? There are certain things that you have to know. Just don't try jumping on DHgate and AliExpress and all that stuff right off the gate because you will F yourselves up. You guys will screw your shipping up and then you'll come to me and be like, my account's suspended, what do I do? And I'm gonna tell you, go to CJ Rosenbaum because I'm not gonna unsuspend your account. So you guys have to remember that e-commerce is a long game. Drop shipping is a long game. It's not, I'm just gonna jump on for 1 month, make a ton of money and leave. Because anything can happen, a lot of things change. We've been selling on Amazon for 4 years now, all right? So from the point that I started, because I came to him and I had to convince him to do this with me. You know how hard it is to convince a Debbie Downer to do anything? Like he is negative Nancy on everything I want to do.
Ex Debbie Downer? You proved yourself right, so you earned yourself a business partner for life. You should be happy about
No. Well, actually, yeah, he was a customer of mine beforehand. So long story short, like I have a car shop and I do all these other things, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, the Evo.
Yeah, back when we were about the Evo buddies.
Moved on.
You know, but this guy, come on, man. Don't wait, dirty, winking at me.
One of the things that you should also keep in mind, and I know these guys are all talking about different methods for private label drop shipping, drop shipping in general. Just looking at like specifically from the Amazon perspective, one of the biggest keys, if you have a professional seller's account, not the basic account that where you have to kind of like pay per listing.
You cannot have basic, can't have a basic.
Exactly. If you pay that $39.99 a month, there is no limit on how many listings that you can actually list. So being able to test what products actually move or being able to season said products, private label products or non-private label, before you actually convert them is huge. Because at that point, by the time that you actually convert to FBA, your product's already seasoned. And at that point, you're really just juicing it. You're offering 1 or 2 day shipping to customers that were, you know, taking at least a week or 2 to get it before. So that's another thing to keep in mind is that drop shipping is essentially essential on Amazon. Instead of just jumping right into the FBA game, you know, being able to season those private label listings if you choose to go that route, or private label FBA and start out with drop shipping first. It's going to save you a lot of headaches and money in the long run.
Yep. And why do you not go FBA right off the bat? Because I'm pretty sure you guys have seen all these bigger channels like Kevin David. They're like, oh, go Amazon FBA, it's great.
Your best friend Dan.
Yeah, I almost slide the cheese right off his cracker, man. I can't.
Survive the ads.
Yeah. I can't stand Dan Vas. But that's my own, like we have personal beef. Like we have real life beef, not YouTube beef. Like real life, when I see him, we have problems. But that is besides the point. So why do you guys not go FBA right off the bat? So what a lot of people don't tell you is that it takes more than that $1,000 that they say. All right. So $1,000 might be product cost, but in order to keep that listing ranked, you're going to be juicing your PPC. You're going to be spending a lot of money in PPC right off the bat.
Immediately.
Just hands down.
Your A cost is going to be through the roof.
Yeah. So
at least 30 to 60 days.
Bingo. And then you have to pull all your keywords. You have to do all this ridiculous stuff. You'll probably have to do a giveaway. We don't condone giveaways, but in most cases, you don't learn the effective product research, and you guys will immediately have to do a giveaway. So you're spending money there. You're giving away product at like $1, giving away hundreds of them. Like, it is not as easy as they say it is. And we made that mistake. I talked to him into letting me do stuff. Now, granted, like, I have children. My daughter had a pretty good idea. We made money with it. It was awesome. But I had my own idea and was like, yo, I think this will work. No, we lost a lot of money. And then I had to explain why we lost so much money right off the bat. You know, it's very difficult to go to your business partner and say, hey, yeah, my bad.
I saw that stuff wasn't moving. It's still sitting in the basement, right?
Yeah.
It's still sitting in the basement. Yeah.
Yo, it's your fault.
Oh my goodness.
But, you know, so
everybody makes mistakes throughout the course. I mean, that's just
and it's
the
true.
way it goes.
But
nobody's
the problem is a lot of these bigger guys will not tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you that you're going to lose a buttload of money on Amazon FBA. They're not going to tell you that you guys need to have a ton of money to really break into like certain drop shipping styles. They're not going to say any of that. All right. Their goal is to make you feel good. That's what they're here for. To make you feel good so that way they can buy another Lamborghini. Yeah. Which is the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. How many Lamborghinis has Kevin David had? About 2 now? Odie's had what? This is his second, third one, the underground racing one. There's a reason, people. Okay, there's a reason why you guys came here to hang out with Paul and, you know, our hideous selves up here. So that way you guys can learn how to make it work. Okay, whatever method that you choose, you don't have to do our method because, like I said, it's not for people who want to set it and forget it. You're gonna have to place your orders every day. You're gonna have to do your product research. You're gonna have to optimize your titles and bullet points and all this stuff. You're gonna have to worry about people who hijack your listing. Now, you're not gonna necessarily compete on the same level as the retail arbitrage guys, but your margins are much higher, so people want a piece of that. You know, you gotta make sure your pictures are good. There's a lot of things that you have to do, that you have to know. And if you're not willing to do that, it's never going to work.
It's very involved.
It's super involved. You know, we do a little bit of what Noah does with wholesaling, but that's only because I have been doing that for years with my car shop. You know, I've had accounts with these guys with like ETS and STM, Extreme PSI, Cobb, all that for, you know, going on 10 years now. So it was easy to transition all of that to Amazon, to Shopify, just because I had those accounts open. So for you guys, you're gonna have to look at what makes the most sense when it boils down to it. Okay, there is no right or wrong method. It's just what's right for you. Us selling on eBay, it was not right for us because we're in a unique situation. Like, we don't have to wake up and take 5% margins. Like, I don't get out of bed for that. When people are like, oh, I made 80 grand, I'm like, bro, I make more than that in my day job. I'm not getting out of bed. Don't call me. Don't call me for that crap. Don't message me. Don't say eBay. No, don't do it. But for a lot of people, that is the best way for them to make a lot of money really quickly and get into something else. Same thing with Amazon retail arbitrage. You can make a ton of money. Tyler makes a ton of money with it. Matt makes a ton of money with it. Paul makes a ton of money with it. You know, because it's not right for us doesn't mean it's not right for you. You know, Noah does his wholesaling thing. Some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to set up all these accounts. But for the people that do, it's amazing. Like, I get exhaust, turbo back exhaust for like $400 and I sell them things for $900 all day long. I love it. It's like the best thing ever. And I have to do nothing for it because the name sells itself. I got a trash website still. The Speed Circuit website is ass. It's been ass for a while. Yeah. You didn't have to agree.
I purchased off that website a couple times.
Yeah, that's how I got your money.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys selling generic products?
So yes, so some of it is generic. Other things are like our own private label. So we have our own molds for certain things. Like, there are certain action figures that we went out and we're like, yo, I think that'd be pretty dope. Make it so. And luckily we have Eric, because if we didn't, we probably wouldn't be able to do it. And we actually found Eric when we were placing a bulk order on DHgate. And he was like, hey, what else do you guys do?
You're a sourcing agent on the other side.
He just happened to be an actual registered agent. And he was like, hey, look, I can do this for you if you want. I'm like, well, we have this and 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 this. He was like, dude, I got you, no problem. It wasn't that clear English, but for the most part, that is what he said. And I'm like, you know what, we'll try. We'll give you a shot. Work with our virtual assistants. We'll see what happens. And he started, you know, very small. He handled maybe 5 or 6 of our like most popular listings. And then he just grew from there. And now I'd say what, 80–85% of our business goes through him. The rest of it,
FBA as well.
yeah. So that includes our FBA orders and everything else. The rest of it is like wholesale. And, you know, we do a little stuff like through DHgate and whatever.
Getting shipped piecemeal per order out, e-packet?
Yep, piecemeal.
Are people okay with waiting 2 weeks?
Dude,
No
they are.
issue whatsoever. You'd be
So-
surprised, but a lot, that's one of the
You can talk to Lisa.
yeah, it's one of the things that we we get a lot before people enter
Yeah.
into the course is are people really willing to wait 2-3 weeks for a product? If you sit and you're like, I don't want to wait for that. But the biggest key is like finding something unique that you can't find anywhere else. Granted, if you're trying to like compete against a prime listing, there's other ways to actually compete besides just price, right? Price is not always the only single determinator. But people are willing to wait if you offer something, you drive that benefit to that customer. If you're giving something that either doesn't already exist on Amazon, we've done that before a couple times, or something that does already exist but comes with something else that drives that value that nobody else is currently listing. It's always about providing that value to the customer. If the customer finds it valued, they're willing to wait a couple weeks.
Yeah, like we found swim trunks. Well, actually, he found them, and people.
Flip-flops.
Yep.
Yeah, and flip-flops.
And guess what? People waited a long ass time. We had a terrible supplier. Like
Yeah,
we should have went to Eric right off the bat.
There were two that we dealt with, and they weren't shipping. They said they had the products and they didn't. And then we kind of got into hot water, and that gave our late shipment tracking.
No,
late
you
shipment-
got us in the hot
yeah,
water.
That kind of sucked.
You guys have like products you created yourself and you have them remake them and sell them?
Yeah. So what you do is you can have a mold made, like a cast of certain things that you want. Now you don't necessarily have to do that. That's if you're doing, like action figures and things like that.
Like they say shirts, hats.
No, you don't need a mold for that. Okay.
I'm saying they say you design them.
Yeah, so some of our shirts we do design. So you can get things designed, but for the most part, if you're going to be doing that, you would probably do Amazon merch, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to be, trying to start a clothing brand,
Wardrobe, something like that.
then Amazon merch is probably for you, because you can take that and then start transitioning off. You can create a Shopify site and use like Printful,
Yeah, Printful's a
and
really good one.
is a really good service, and they're print on demand. So you don't necessarily want to try to do print on demand and then convert that over to private label, drop shipping, because the margins are nice, but the fees are much higher, when you're doing that on Amazon as opposed to Amazon merch. So Amazon merch, your best bet, hands down. I do not recommend doing it our method because it's a pain. Amazon merch, you'll make more money. It's going to take more time because you're competing against hundreds of thousands of people trying to sell shirts. But as you grow and progress, you'll be able to list more items. So when you first start, you don't get to list a ton, but over time, you'll be able to list hundreds, if not thousands. All right, so.
How do you deal with reviews in Amazon? Because people seem not to leave review at all sometimes. I only have like 2 reviews in my Amazon account.
Dude, yeah, I'm not the customer service department for all of our stores. And I noticed in the beginning, the gentleman back there said, are these people willing to wait 2-3 weeks? Well, there are going to be times, especially during, if you're ordering from China for the New Year, we got suppliers in the U.S., China, India, Pakistan. Sometimes things get caught in customs. It's unavoidable. So what happens when the customer doesn't receive the product on time? Well, Amazon's going to be yelling at you because it's late, right? And then the customer's going to be yelling because it's late as well. So reviews, first off, are unavoidable. You're going to have some good ones, but 99% of the time, if you look on Yelp or something, maybe for this building, the only time somebody leaves a review, not all the time, but a good portion of the time that somebody leaves a review is because it's a bad review. They had a bad time with you. They had a bad experience. There's ways to get around this, and I told him in the beginning because I've run a couple businesses before. It's being proactive. You got to make sure that you get out ahead of the problem before the problem presents itself, and that means keeping the line of communication open with your customer. Let them know that it looks like I was shipping product to Australia, got caught in customs. We're working with them. We're trying to get it out. Here's a free keychain. Costs 99 cents. Not going to kill our profit margin. It's the beauty of ours is we
Yep.
have a much larger profit margin,
Yep.
so little hits like that aren't
Yeah.
gonna compound us. You know, those reviews, yeah, and the biggest one, there's a couple things. So you got the product reviews, right? That's your product purchases, the stuff that you actually list on Amazon, the seller reviews. Product reviews, we found that it really, like, it does make a difference. If there's been 20 reviews and all of them are 1 star, it's probably an issue.
Yeah.
You should probably just go ahead and hose the product. But, you know, the seller reviews are the most important because Amazon cares about your product reviews, but they care almost more so about the seller review. Amazon fronts their name for everything you sell on Amazon. There's Joe Schmo over there in the building over there that's buying some, like, you know, knockoff, you know, paper mache art or whatever, thinking that Amazon is
That's the best you could come up with?
selling it to them. That's what these customers think. And Amazon knows that, and that's why they have these strict metrics. So when you get a negative product review, the only thing you can do is, you know, reply to it, be like, look, you know, I reached out to you, obviously reach out to them. You know,
They're not always going to reply back either. Like some
do
people
not
don't check their
ever,
emails.
Ever offer somebody, offer your customer a product or a gift card or something to remove a review. If Amazon catches that, you're out. It's not even, it's a one and done. We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And there's also times, another thing you guys definitely need to keep on track of is customers will tend to sometimes leave product reviews on your seller review. If any part at all, if they mention anything about a product within the review, Amazon will remove it.
Yep.
All you have to do is request it. Sometimes it doesn't, like they have an auto remove feature, and they'll audit your review or audit that review and then remove it. If not, you can actually ask you know, a representative to, you know, go ahead and review it for you. So definitely keep that in mind. But positive reviews are great. Negative reviews suck. Mediocre reviews, like the 3 stars, they're you're like, whatever. Biggest key, if you do something like we do, retail arbitrage maybe as well. It really depends on what you're listing. If it is private label, you have to make sure that you stay ahead of it and you know, keep that line of communication open with your customer to, you know, go ahead and try to. We've had a couple 1 stars that, you know, eventually turned into 5 stars down the road. We had a dude that, you know, said, oh, my stuff came late. These guys are atrocious. Don't ever do business with them. A week later, we sent him like 2 of the same the same item. He got it, immediately put in a 5-star review, and they kept ordering from us. And I'm telling you, you got to treat it like a true retail business.
I said don't do it.
Yeah.
I was mad.
Yeah, it's, you know, brown nosing is an eventuality. So I mean, yeah, you know, your customer is your most important asset. They're the ones providing you money. You know, you got to make sure that experience is, you know, satisfactory to them. It's not always going to be satisfactory. You can't please everybody. That's unrealistic. But, you know, just do whatever you can to make sure that they're happy.
So with the private labeling for FBA, what do you need to get started capital-wise?
I would recommend at least $2,000 to $4,000 minimum. Okay, so don't listen to that BS about, oh, you can start with $500. Yo, your $500 will be gone like that, and then you'll be left with nothing. So be careful, like be real careful with that. So you know, $2,000 to $4,000 if you want to start your own private label FBA product. Now drop shipping, you can start with like $400. Yeah, you know, if you got a few $100, you're good. Private label FBA, you need to do your due diligence. And I do not recommend going unless you check with an actual professional. Don't just do your product research and be like, oh, this is great. Like, hit us up. Like, Joe, we answer every question. Every single question that we get, we answer. Yeah. If your product is trash, we're going to tell you that it's trash and don't do it because we don't want you to go off and spend your money because for some people, we've had people spend their life savings going through like Derrick Struggle's course. It's like, oh, he said this was a good product. I'm like, why is it not selling then? And they're like, well, this is my life savings. I'm like, oh.
But they're essentially asking you to hit a home run right off the bat, literally getting up to the plate and smoking that baseball out of the park. Because if you don't, then the way it works with FBA is it's either going to move or it's not going to move. You know, there is no in between of like, you know, 1 or 2 here, 1 or 2 there. It's usually the product's going to rank very quickly or the product's not going to rank at all.
So be careful, all right? Just you need to have at least $2,000 to $4,000 on hand because you're going to be running a lot of PPC and you're probably going to have to do a giveaway. And also remember, when you do your giveaways, if your product is trash, a giveaway is nothing more than a way to artificially inflate your ranking. So you're going to spend a lot of money. You're going to lose money on your product and you're going to lose money giving it away for the, you know, paying a service for a giveaway like Viral Launch. You might have a bad product and even after it's ranked and you stop the whole giveaway thing, you notice that your ranking plummets because it's a bad product and nobody wants it. The giveaway just artificially inflates it. So you need to be careful with that too.
Third-party tools like Selix that are out there to help you manage that and kind of predict when things are going to go out of stock. Because the last thing you want to do is put in like $1,500 to something and it's not moving and you got to pay long-term storage fees. And Amazon also charges you for it.
Yeah.
how much you take up in the work.
Yes, madam.
We'll get you next.
Yep. Sorry.
You mentioned something earlier when you just began. You said AMD Scout Pro?
Yes.
Is that correct? AMD?
AMZ.
AMZ.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm from the South, so I'm trying to not sound like a hick, but when I leave from here, it's gonna be terrible. So it's a product research tool. So it's like a Jungle Scout or Viral Launch or whatever.
Sir, I have a question regarding the private labeling. Now, private label products, do they come packaged accordingly
So
with two dudes logo on it, or?
like with our other, so we have 3 different stores. So we have our pet store, the baby store, and the geek store.
3 separate businesses
Yeah.
as well.
So 3 separate businesses. So Two Dudes is a business of its own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is just, us. This is like our personal brand. But our stores are different. So for our like FBA stuff, yes. For some of our private label stuff through Eric, yes. For some, no, because it's not cost effective. So how you get around it? Because everyone's like, oh, private label means this and this and this. Private label doesn't mean what you think it means on Amazon, okay? So when you have your own listing, you're essentially your own private label brand, right? How do you differentiate so that way you're not violating any copyrights or whatever? You have to basically create a new product. How do you do that? Through bundling or through adding a tag or whatever. There's a ton of different ways that you can do it. Lisa obviously knows, but that is essentially what you're gonna do. So when people say, oh, you have to do this for private label, no, you don't, because they didn't read the fine print. They were too lazy to do so.
Does any of that drive up the cost of the product?
In some cases, yes. So
For the FBA stuff.
for the FBA stuff, so let's say you want to private label drop ship certain things and you want to have like custom packaging, you want to have a custom tag or whatever. So in some cases, we'll prepay. We'll be like, yo, Eric, we want 100 of these with our tag on them. All right, cool. It's $1 a tag. All right, problem solved. It's not that expensive. Get to it. It's $100. Make it happen. So it just depends on if you get lucky enough to find a supplier that'll hook you up. And that's where you have to do your due diligence. It's not as seamless as retail arbitrage. You actually have to put in the legwork. And that's the difference between our model and theirs.
Yeah, one of the biggest keys too to remember is when you like private labeling anywhere, eBay, Amazon, Shopify, whatever. It's very, very famous. A lot of people understand it, right? You understand the whole method of being that kind of middleman. One of the biggest keys, that we found out kind of by accident is kind of like wholesale dropshipping.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right? Instead of wholesale or like FBA, so we had like found this supplier, through one of those random websites like AliExpress or whatnot. It's developed such a big relationship with them that eventually we just cut the middleman, AliExpress, out of the way and dealt with him directly. That's why he was talking about paying PayPal. We have predetermined service contracts with this guy to provide goods at a certain rate from him to the customer. This also guarantees that we're prioritized. It guarantees that we have good shipping lead times. It also guarantees that we get a really good rate on the product, and that helps with profit margins. So, and like Rico said, especially with profit margins, we sit in that 30 to 40 probably aggregate range, which is pretty good. But sometimes you can see products that are well over that. Sometimes you see products that, depending on the how much they're bundled, could be less.
Yep.
But
So
that helps.
some of your evergreen products might be 15, 20%, but you might have some high ticket items that earned 150%. There are certain items that we get for $69.99, we sell for $169.99, and they sell all throughout the week.
And
So
Amazon says cha-ching.
yeah, so they're happy with it.
Yeah.
Are you basically investigating any future exploratory schools like VoicePerf, like Amazon and Alexa, like they have a seller central lab?
They do have a lot of things. So right now, no. Like I was in the middle of trying to develop all these different softwares, but the students come first, so like I don't have time for that stuff necessarily, because I wanted to get into like Alexa. They have their their own little actions.
It's really cool.
But unfortunately, I just do not have the time to build it out. So we might test a couple things to see if it's easier to help our students, but that would be the only reason why. Like our biggest thing is like we pretty much have our business set on autopilot. So we have to help everyone else get to the same level. So we may not take all the time to investigate anything unless it's to benefit the students. Because for us, we're already here. We're already seasoned. But for you guys, we have to make sure that whatever we bring on helps make you money much quicker.
And it's got to work.
So, so we might check that out, but only after we get you guys up and running.
Yeah, we're always in the market to help people out,
Yeah.
especially students. Like he had mentioned, one more thing. Don't mean to cut you off, but this entire process that we talk about that we had developed is pretty much manual. So unlike some of the other, you know, dropshipping options on Amazon and eBay and Shopify, where you can use a tool like a service software to, you know, facilitate, you know, the speed of your orders. Like, there's a good portion of ours that can't, and it's because you're constantly interacting with humans. There's that human nature, and it's not a downside. It's not bad that, you know, software is available. It's also not bad that software is available for other things. Just know that if you do decide to get into something like this, that it does take a significant time investment. It does take a significantly less cash investment off the bat, and your profit margins may on the front end be higher, but it does take a time investment. You know, and that's why, you know, me and him work together on it to, you know, from our first store all the way up to our third.
Do you use virtual assistant?
Yeah.
In each of your stores?
Yeah. So we have virtual assistants.
Compiles everything for you, reports everything.
So our virtual assistants handle all of that. So we try to keep at least one per store, depending on, you know, workload or whatever. They handle pretty much everything. So they take all the orders, right?
Are the costs associated with that?
So I mean, the costs are associated with it, but it's such a small expense for us because the profit margins are so high that it's well worth it. So in the beginning, when we looked at it, we're like, okay, we're going to be paying these people anywhere from $7 to $15 an hour. Is that cost effective? How is that going to hit our bottom line? How many hours a day are they going to be working? You know,
Can they accelerate growth?
Yeah, can they accelerate growth? Like, are we going to be spending $1,000 per virtual assistant? You know, can each store sustain that? You know, is that going to be worthwhile? So right now, they handle all the orders. So they get the orders in at the end of the day. So they take the orders in. Eric is what, 12 hours ahead. So at the end of the day, you know, which we usually say like midnight our time, midnight Eastern Standard Time. They get all of our orders, they put them into a spreadsheet through Google Sheets. They say, these are all the orders, these are all the order numbers, these are all the addresses, blah, 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 blah. These are the the ASINs, these are the UPCs, this is what you guys need to order against. They send them off to Eric, Eric takes a look, he's like, all right, this is good, boom, 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 this is how much it's gonna cost. Go ahead, pay me through PayPal. They pay him through PayPal. Boom, he places all the orders, things get shipped out. You know, but I do not recommend trying that off the bat.
No.
It was very difficult because we're manual. So in the beginning, you guys are all going to be manual. You guys are all going to be doing it on your own. Having a registered agent come in and then having all your VAs start putting their fingers in and stuff and listing products for you, like, you're not going to know what was listed properly, what's suppressed. You're like, oh wait, why am I not selling any of this? You go in, you look, you're like, yo, this is suppressed. Why is this suppressed? Oh, you didn't upload the pictures. Like, what's going on? Like, there's a lot of moving pieces. So we always recommend that you guys know exactly what you're doing first. We never, ever tell any of our students, yo, get a VA right off the bat. Hell no, don't get a VA right off the bat because you don't know what you're doing. So how are you going to coach somebody else to run your store for you? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And more than likely, you're going to have a VA that screws your business up.
And in general, if you consider this business at all passive, then you're a clown.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not passive. There is no such thing as passive in creating a business, and you know, it's just that entire term to me just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So you want to be involved in the beginning to understand how the operations of the business work. You know, all of it. You want to be involved from, you know, money made to money out. You know, product made to product out. You want to be involved fully into that, and that's what, you know, we worked on so hard.
It wasn't until like year 2
Yeah.
where we ended up getting our VAs. You know, like, it sucked.
Developed a lot of documentation, walked them through it.
Yeah.
We started out with 1, then worked to 2 to 3, now we're up to 10 across all 3 stores. They don't really work in conjunction. Sometimes they do. If we need it, we can shift them. But
So we generally have like, we want to have one main one per store, but we'll have like 3 at a time depending. So somebody will be working on pictures. We're like, yo, list this. Get these pictures together. Yo, here's all of our listing, like all the listing points, like our titles, our bullet points, our product descriptions. We still do all of that. Our VAs don't do any of that crap. Like, cause
customer communications, I'm not allowing somebody that doesn't, I mean, they may have a hand in the business, but they don't obviously are part of the business as much. I'm, you know, me and him are both taking care of the customer communication.
So it's like very minor things that they handle. Like, having a virtual assistant makes things easier. It's not designed, a virtual assistant isn't there to replace you as a business owner. All right, so there are certain things that you still have to do. It will help you, it will make your job easier. But if you think your virtual assistant is there to run your business for you, then you shouldn't be running a business. Like, I have a car shop. There is no way I could leave that to the mechanics and be like, all right, guys, do whatever you want to do. Work on whatever cars you want. And then let me know how it goes at the end of the day. Because I would get sued.
Yeah.
Badly.
Any other questions? That's good?
You guys good?
Cool. Thanks for the time, everybody.
Back up, son.
You didn't do this. Oh, you're balding, that's why. No,
Oh!